Hello everyone, it's DuckFaden07 and I finally trophied with a Waste Not deck in a modern. This is a deck I've been playing for a long time in various versions, cascading into Wheel, Grief, Fury stuff with scamming but this time I did a trophy with a league that looks like a red-black rock deck, but is playing Waste Nots and Burning Inquiry and new card Orcish Bowmasters. That's another payoff for the Burning Inquiry and fits very well into the Waste Not strategies in the modern. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. We have the standard package of good stuff, red cards like Dragon Ray Channeler, Ragavan Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat, Totsis. This is pretty common for a red-black rock type of deck. We also have a Seasoned Pyromancer, which is and Kroxa, which is standard, also Mishra's Bubble. Just 18 lands, it worked well, it was proved to be enough. I didn't include any special lands, just shocks, basics, and fetches, and some cliffs, and I really think that I want all of these lands, that I don't have space for any other. Like Shinka, Shizo, or whatever, like Takenuma and stuff like that. Okay, so the addition here is Burning Inquiry. This card is crazy with the new card Orcish Bowmasters. Basically, if you have Bowmasters on the field, or you cast both on a turn 3, for example, Orcish Bowmasters does damage when it enters the battlefield, and you then cast Inquiry and get 3 more triggers, which means you get 1/1 Orcish Bowmaster, 4/4 Orc token, and 4 damage to ping wherever you want. So basically this is like same as Fury ability, like you scam Fury, but you need like less spells. To scam Fury you need a red card, a Fury, and the Undying spell. To do this you need just Orcish Bowmaster and Burning Inquiry. It's that simple. So you do 4 damage wherever you want, you get 5 power on the field. It's incredibly strong. Okay, the good thing is you also have Waste Not in this deck, so if you don't have Orcish Bowmasters, Inquiry does very well with the Waste Not. Also you have some graveyard payoffs like Kroxa. Seasoned Pyromancer, it can also provide you very easy turn 2 Delirium for the Dragon Ray Channel if you want to be aggressive. And Kroxa is just a great graveyard payoff for this deck, but it's not just Kroxa. We also played Underworld Breach, mainly because some turns can really be crazy with Underworld Breach into multiple recast Inquiry while you have Waste Not or Orcish Bowmasters on the field, and that's about it. So let's look at the sideboard. Turak, it's another great Burning Inquiry payoff, which you bring in a lot of matchups again, like 4-color Omnat piles. They're very hard to get rid of the Turak because they play a low amount of bolts. They mostly have white removals like Binding, Ending. So Turak, a great Burning Inquiry removal, another card that can get really large of the 1 or 2 Burning Inquiry costs. Also, Doughty Voidwalker is another great staple for the Rakdos rock deck. That is great with Inquiry. So you have Doughty on the field, you cast Inquiry, you can get all kind of powerful stuff into the exile with Doughty and immediately trigger it to recast it yourself. Other than that, we have some Terminates, of course, in the sideboard. Blood Moons, Artifact Hate, Free Spell Hate, Engineered Explosives, and Silex. A split of these, one Silex, 2 explosives. You can do it other way around. Silex is slightly better against creativity. Explosives is better against rhinos. Okay, so that is it. Let's go. I said I finished the league with a 5-0, so we are going to go through the league and watch all the matches. They were quite interesting, and my next video is also will be including Orcish Bowmasters and the Burning Inquiry in the Grixis build, which is a bit more controlish. Okay, so I'm very excited for both of these. They were both very fun. Okay, so I started off with a turn 1 Ragavan with a 1-lander. My opponent put Steam Vents into play with a Grazer. This means they're probably playing This means they're probably playing Scapeshift. I didn't get a land, but I was able to play the Bowmasters to be able to kill the Teferi and put 2 power on the field. Okay, so I start off with the Thoughtseize, exiling the Bring to Light from my opponent's hand and just casting Ragon here and start attacking for 2 damage. Okay, so my opponent at this point had this was their hand, so they played the Iteration and they played a Binding to exile my Ragon, which was fine. I was able to attack for 2 damage, cast my Dragoray Channeler, and yeah, so Omnat draws a card here, so I was able to ping the Bowmaster, ping Omnat with Bowmaster, and finish him off with a Lightning Bolt, and also get my Delirium trigger here. I find Blackleaf Cliffs on the top, so I decided to leave that because I needed third land. So I get the Breach from the graveyard. I went for the Thoughtseize here. Discarded Bring to Light. This means they can't kill me next turn, and I left them in hand with Iteration and the Dread of Elysian Grove, which was fine. So they just played their 2 lands, and I drew Burning Inquiry for the turn and played second Bowmasters, which is just crazy, like 6 damage just from this, and I grow my token to like 8/8, and I probably get like Delirium in most situations, not always, of course. That is it. So that was game 1. Like Bowmasters and Inquiry really did a good job there. Especially that Bowmasters enabled me to kill Omnat with a bolt. That was really good. Before they're able to play the fetch, get the life. I think this was like key in this match. That one ping from Bowmasters enabled me to kill the Omnat immediately. So I played the Thoughtseize on 1. And they mulliganed. So at this point they only had Omnat in hand. So I went turn 2 Channeler, put Heat into the graveyard, discard Omnat, leave them with just a Stomping Ground, which, I mean, I have 2 Breaches in hand, I have Spyro, so this is very good news for me. I wanted to like play Breach next turn, so I play the Spyro this turn, discard one of the Breaches, I draw the Waste Knot, I wanted to get Delirium, which I did get with the Spyro because I was able to put enchantment into the graveyard. So Channeler is a 3/3 at this point. My opponent had a pretty good draw there. I attack with everything in case they block with Omnat. I can go for the bolt, but they didn't. So this was okay. Like they played Dryad and everything, but I think this was fine. I went face with the bolt, and I played the second Waste Knot, and I draw the Burning Inquiry from the top, which was like really good. So I get 6 Waste Knot abilities, I get some mana, and I also get another Burning Inquiry, which was amazing. But I decided not to play the second Inquiry, but just to play my Blood Moon to disable the Dryad. And yeah, they got Valakut from the top, so I think this was pretty good. Okay, so I got Waste Knots on the field. I drew the Bowmasters for the turn. This means I was able to like bolt the Dryad. And I got a blocker for the Orcish Bowmasters. And I cast my second Burning Inquiry, get like 9 triggers, 3 from the Bowmasters, like just a lot of triggers. Yeah, my opponent immediately concedes. This was just pretty much crazy. Yeah, and very amazing wins immediately in game 1. Just completely demolished my opponent. with the Waste Not and the Orcish Bowmasters. So idea of this deck was to like play the red black rock, which was very I really liked that deck while it was good and I played it, and I really wanted to experience that similar gameplay and wished for it to be competitive and not just a version of red black scam. But I think with this Orcish Buffmasters, I think the Burning Inquiry is like amazing card which you can use. But just having Orcish Buffmasters as your only payoff won't make Burning Inquiry as good. And that's why I decided to go with Waste Not 2. And I also have Breach, which can like give you really a good mid game and the late game with the Mishra's Bubble, but also recasting Inquiry multiple times from the graveyard can be really good. I decided to go for the Waste Knot and to just cast the Sentinel. Opponent goes for the Ornithopter, shocks the Hollow Fountain, and I decided to start with the Totsis, and I did get a draw a card. This is amazing, like Totsis discards a card and draws a card. It's such a good advantage. My opponent had a double Sigarda's Aid in the hand at this point and the third Aid on the field. And yeah, so it was kind of a tricky situation. I had to bolt here. So I think situation was good for me. I just had to keep them off Paladin. Anyway, I know. So my Kroxa also discards a card from opponent's hand, but also draws me a card because I know my opponent has two Sigarda's aids, so I know they will discard one of the aids, and I will get a free draw, which this is like really nice. Just playing Kroxa, getting the Waste Not abilities, and I draw another land, and I decide to get rid of the construct token immediately. It was their only creature at the time, and there's nothing like they can draw at this turn to punish me for that play. So I was planning on going Season Pyro next turn, and I would definitely wanted to get rid from that heat from my hand, because otherwise I would just discard it. So I drew another land and went for I had options. I had option to go for the Spyro, but I decided to go for the Kroxa instead. I mean, Spyro draws me two fresh cards, gives me interaction in case they draw something good. But Kroxa puts me on a very good clock. I put them on 10 life, which means if they don't block next turn, or if I get a removal, this is immediate kill. And luckily my opponent had a very good draws, Colossus Hammer there, but they weren't able to pay mana for the Esper Sentinel, and I draw the Lightning Bolt from the top, and this just won me the game on the spot. So that was it. Okay, so let's check out the second game. Very good hand. I think I'm of the opinion that if you have a one-lander and Burning Inquiry, it's kind of, so far it was like higher amount of times I did get lucky with Inquiry. So you still get to draw 3 cards, and there's a high chance there will just be a land there. Or if you just draw the land from the turn, that's also like an option, and a good one, of course. I got Blackleaf Cleave, so there was no need to search for the lands, and I was able to like cast the Inquiry and just pump this Turak that that is pretty good against this deck. It has Pro White, so it can block a lot of their creatures. I had a Shattering Spree in my hand, so even if they have some trick, they'll still have to use the protection spell, and I still get to Shattering Spree on my turn. So in response to the Sigarda's aid, I decide to go for the bolt. So if I don't do this, then this means that opponent is able to like go for the closest hammer in response to my bolt. So this means that the bolt gets significantly worse after the Sigarda's aid is in the field. That's why I decided to immediately do this. And on my turn, I go for the triple Shattering Spree. This is why Shattering Spree is a really good card. For 3 mana, you get to destroy 3 artifacts. It's like really amazing, and there's absolutely no other card that does this as good. And now my opponent has Sigarda's aid, but I have a 2-turn clock. And they have just 2 cards in hand. So I think this is really good, and they just draw a card, concede, and that was it. Pretty quick games against Hammer. I think this Rakdos Rock was always favorable, and this version is no different. Okay, so these were first 2 wins, straight 2-0 wins. So let's now go to the match tree and see what happened there. Okay, so playing second this time. Keeping pretty good hand. Turn 1 Channeler into double bubble. That's pretty amazing. Also double Spyro is no joke. I put 2 lands into the graveyard, which was pretty good surveil there. I go for the bubble. I see the Bring to Light. So it was again the Scapeshift. It was again Scapeshift, but this time, unfortunately, they had turn 2 Vren, which just killed my Dragoray Channeler. And after that, I had a pretty bad Inquiry this time. No payoffs on the field. I just cast it to try to mess with my opponent's hand. I did discard like really good cards, 2 expressive iterations, and Omnat plus be able to kill their Vren. That's like pretty crazy. But also screwed myself a bit. I still had a second Season Pyro in my hand, so this was good. Actually, I also got a Delirium, so I was able to kill the Omnat there. And then I got my third Spyro, so this means I was able to just cast one of these, discard 2 lands, get 2 very playable cards in hand, Vase Knot and the Totsis. Vase Knot is great with this card. They also got the Valakut. This was like not great, but I did have Totsis there, but unfortunately opponent had a double Bring to Light, which I just couldn't do anything about it. They had a kill next turn, so that was the game I had to concede. So let's go to the game 2. First loss against this deck, but my opponent had a really good hand, so it was fine. I put Turak into the graveyard. Try to get the Delirium as fast as possible. Let's see how I boarded, because it was the same sideboard for these 2 matches. 2 bolts out, 1 Bowmaster, 1 Croxa, as you can see, and 1 Spyro. Sorry. I did bring in some Blood Moons, Turaks. I'm not sure what else. We'll see. Okay, so I was able to start attacking there and cast Blood Moon, which was pretty good. My opponent did get Island in response, but I cast the Blood Moon after the Dryad. So this way they don't get the Dryad abilities. If for those who don't know, if you play Dryad after Blood Moon resolves, then all your lands get you all the mana. Okay, so yeah, I did a mistake here. I played the breach, and I went for the damage. I think I did made a mistake here. Maybe that was another game. Yeah, that was another game. Not sure what happened here. Yeah, okay. I think I made a mistake on the next turn. Okay, so we will see. I remember making a mistake, but it wasn't this turn. Didn't want to cast anything else. I think here I did a mistake. I had a kill. But I miscounted the cards. Went for the Burning Inquiry first. My opponent responded with the Leyline Binding on the... But my plan was like to grow the Turak and then kill the Dryad and just kill my opponent with the large Turak. So I needed one Inquiry and Unholy Heat to do this, but I cast the Inquiry first. And yeah, I messed things up, and now I didn't have the Delirium. I forgot that I don't have a Channeler anymore on the field, so I wasn't able to kill my opponent immediately. But it didn't really matter because I discarded everything that mattered from opponent hand, and I passed the turn with just Teferi in their hand, and it was really impossible for them to do much. So it was okay, but I think I had a kill immediately. But it's okay. So that was game 2, and in the game 3, I think I should have casted the Unholy Heat first, and then Inquiry second, and I would have a kill immediately. So, 3 Dragon Ray Channelers. I decided to keep the Mishra's Bubble for the turn 2 for that dream of doing the 3 surveils, and I did get it. Put the Croxa into the graveyard, and amazingly still didn't have a Delirium, but it was good situation, definitely. I got the Swamp on the field, cast another bubble, still looking for that Delirium, of course, and I go for the Blood Moon, resolve the Blood Moon, I get the Delirium, I get the Swamp. My opponent just has a Halfling at this point, and an island, so they can't really cast much. So I cast the Unholy Heat and find the Bolt, so I attack for the 9 damage here. And on my opponent's upkeep, I go for the lethal bolt, and that is the game. Pretty cool games. I lost that one game because my opponent had triple Bring to Light. After discarding 2 of them, they had the third one, which was okay. And yeah, but I think this matchup is really good for me. So that was it. That was the last game. And we can now go watch the game 4, match 4. Can't remember what this was. We will see now. Okay, so playing second again and keeping a one lander with a Burning Inquiry, but this time it's a double Burning Inquiry. I think this is fine. Unfortunately, my opponent starts first with a Urberg into Relic of Progenitus. This is pretty bad with a 3 Dragon Ray Channeler's hand. But yeah, I can fight definitely fight Relic with this deck, especially when you have Inquiry. I keep a mountain on top, of course, expecting to get it, and I did get a land again with Inquiry, so it was pretty safe so far. When I keep a one lander with Inquiry, each of these time in the like 6-7 situations so far, I did get something playable or a land or something similar, and my opponent plays third Relic of Progenitus. It's amazing, really. Okay, so but still channelers are no joke. They are not 3-3, but doing surveil on every spell. It's pretty good. My opponent also had a Damnation, but at this point they're on 2 cards, and I was able to cast the Bowmaster, keep doing pressuring my opponent, doing damage, and cast Inquiry to deal 3 damage to face immediately, plus grow the Orc army into the 4/4, and also get my turn land, which is great. Enables me to cast Ragavan immediately, attack for 7 damage, which is like really close to the lethal next turn, especially because I have the Breach into Inquiry. I get a relic from the top and the fourth relic, and I decide to do it. And my opponent cracks one of the relics, so they also crack all the relics, the Shadow Adapt. They draw a bunch of cards, they lose life each time they do this, and my Orc army gets bigger. So that was it. They concede. They didn't have out to the Bowmasters. And yeah, okay. So let's check out the game 2 against mono black coffers. All decks I played are really popular decks. I get the second land, which was pretty good draw here. So I tried to attack with Ragavan, and I did connect because my opponent kept 2 lander with 2 lands not giving them a black mana. So I went for the Totsis. I keep another Totsis on the top, and their third land was Coffers, which was like terrible, and it was unkeepable hand from my opponent. But they I don't know, probably were hoping for Expedition Map or Urborg. It didn't happen, so they quickly concede the game. Easy win. So let's check out the last match, the match for the trophy in this league. Okay, so starting with the double Totsis into turn 3 Spyro is pretty good. I discard the Archive Trap from my opponent's hand. It was Mill. They had Drowning Lock, Prismatic Landing, Jace. A pretty decent hand from my opponent, but I was I was prioritizing definitely removing the Archive Trap and their mill pieces, Jace. So I left them with removals in hand and lands. So I discarded Jace, and they used Prismatic Ending on my channeler, which was fine. I had the Breach plus Spyro in hand. I drew into channeler, so I decided just to go for the channeler this turn. Still no bubble in my hand, which is pretty incredible because I have 14 cards in the graveyard. But yeah, I was definitely expecting for my opponent to counter this, and I really wanted to resolve the breach. So I forced them to use their first Drowning Lock, and I had a Bowmasters and Lightning Bolt for this turn, which I put on the top of my deck. And I was expecting them to counter or to kill the Drowning Lock here, to use the Drowning Lock this time, so I can go for the breach next turn and try to finish off my opponent. Bolt them to face to get another Surveil and put them on 4, which means I'm very close to the lethal. At this point, they have 2 cards in hand. I don't know what they are. They use both of their Drowning Locks. And I went for the breach and bull them for the lethal. So that was it. That was game 1. Let's check out second game. Dragon Ray Channeler is obviously great in this matchup because their opponent is milling you and you get Delirium immediately, like on turn 2 mostly. And unfortunately, I misclicked here and put my land tapped. Yeah, so yeah. Despite that, I was able to still win the game, but that was like pretty terrible. That's probably as terrible as it gets. Like missing to cast your Ragavan on turn 1, missing Ragavan Connect. It's yeah, it's definitely as terrible as it gets, but it's okay. I still was able to win. I did get turn 2 immediate delirium, 2 triggers with double Mishra's bubble. Still had Ragavan on the field. It was fine. It was fine. I had a Silex. I think Silex is only card that I sideboarded in. Pretty sure, yeah. Yeah, it was the only card. I just put one select in, so I have like one out in case they play the ensnaring bridge. I didn't want to put shattering sprees because I mean, if even if they play the ensnaring bridge, I still can win the game using like Bowmasters and inquiries and waste knots. So I just put this filigree silex in. Also, silex can kill some other stuff like I put Bowmasters on top, and I decided to play the Croxa. They discard Tasha, so I get to draw the Orcish Bowmasters immediately. I had a waste knot on the field and the Orcish Bowmasters in hand. This means like if I can get the Inquiry can be pretty sick, or the Breach, of course. So they had Ashiok here. It's also another good target for the Silex. And in response, they prismatic ending my waste knot. In response, I kill the Ashiok. And now I did still have a breach, but breach was not as good right now. So I cast my the Totsis discard. I just used it to get the trigger to get the delirium, and now I was able to cast the breach. I cast the inquiry from my hand, put a lot of cards into the graveyard. I get 3 Bowmasters abilities. I have option to go for another inquiry, which means another 3 damage and another 3 counters on Orc Army, which gives me immediate lethal. This is just so incredible. Like, it's, yeah, so 2 inquiries are 12 damage. 2 inquiries are 12 damage. This is like crazy. 12 damage because you get 6 counters on the Orc and you get 6 pings, so it's 12 damage. It's pretty crazy. This happened a lot in the other leagues I played with this deck, and I'm just so happy with this build. Croxa plus what is it called? The Breach is like really good, best graveyard payoffs. Croxa is just so good in a lot of matchups. Breach too. It just does. I think Breach is even better here than in the Fair Breach because you have this thing where you can go breach, inquiry, like you saw in this last game. If you have waste knot or Bowmasters on the field, it can just go really crazy. Unfortunately, a waste knot gives you a black mana, so you can't go like, if it gave you like red mana, you could go like infinite with a breach at times and waste knot. But yeah, it still does a lot. Still does a lot, helps you cast a lot of cards, and that is it. Very happy with the build. If you like the gameplay, if you like the video, click like, click subscribe, comment in the video, and this is it for this time. As I said, next video will be Orcish Bowmasters and Burning Inquiry 2, but in Grixis variant, as a control variant that also plays a Snapcaster Mage. And so really was excited for both of these versions, and the Burning Inquiry, Orcish Bowmasters really feel like very good thing. As I already said, Bowmasters plus Inquiry, it's like very similar to just scamming Fury when you're playing against creature deck. It gets really similar because it pings 4 damage and you get a 4/4 token and another 1/1 body. And you only need 2 cards to do that, not 3 cards. So It's better in that way, but it's worse in the matter that you don't get a double strike and you don't get to do 8 damage. But it's a pretty similar effect, and we all know how good like Scamming Fury is. So this, I think, feel like this has some real potential, and I'm very happy with this exact build. I wouldn't change a single card. Only cards in the sideboard I was thinking about like doing the split between a Call Against Command and the Shattering Spree, but Shattering Spree was just so good in the Hammer Time matchup, I decided to just leave it as it is. Also, as I said in the beginning, like second explosives can be Wretched Bomb, or you can just do this. And I think both is fine. That is it. I wouldn't add any special lands. I feel like both basics has been great, and the cliffs and the number of 8 fetches I think is a minimum. So I'm very happy with everything, and no changes for the further gameplay so far. Doing really good with this list, and that is it. The conclusion and everything for today. Goodbye.